This week on the Digital Marketing Scoop, it's all about influencer marketing. We've gone back through all our episodes and put together some great information for you if you're thinking about doing influencer marketing for your business. Hope you enjoy it. So I suppose, Pamela, you want to kick it off there maybe with kind of the different types of influencers, maybe the different types of partnerships you could have in that space?
Yeah, so I think it's important to differentiate the types of influencers there is. So say there's celebrities, first of all. So that's your reality stars, your singers, your actors and all of that. They would generally have like 1 million plus followers, maybe 300 million, depending on who it is, plus followers on Instagram and the likes of that. Then you've got your macro and your micro influencers. So that's probably what people listening to us will probably be using. Yeah. So you've got your macro influencers, say they'd have over 100,000 followers. They're quite big in their region, say Ireland. Now we've got the likes of like Just Jordan, Terry McAvoy, Sosumi, all of those. And then you've got your micro influencers. So they are smaller. They could be like between 5 to 50,000 or something like that. And they are more kind of your local people who are gaining traction. And they're probably the best ones to kind of use.
Definitely
for local brands.
And definitely in terms of cost effectiveness as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get a lot from the smaller influencers because they're obviously they're out there, they're growing, they're eager. Yeah. They're not. I think I heard whether it's true or not. I heard a stat the other day was that The Rock. For one post is 1.25 million.
I heard that on the radio as well.
Don't know if it's true or not, but my God, that's ridiculous.
Amazing, yeah. Because he bumped Kylie Jenner is now second. I think she's around the 900,000, yeah.
So
per post.
So micro influencers definitely the way to go, yeah.
Yeah. So, but then you've got all these different partnerships. So some of these mightn't cost you a lot anyways. You've got your kind of PR drops. So if you're launching a new product, you send it to micro influencers who might be interested in that product, already using that product. I think it's important to say that influencers who are like a brand fan already probably like suit your brand. We'll go into choosing the right influencer for you, but if that influencer already likes your products, they might like the new product, so you can get their information and send them the product. And I think with PR drops you need to make like the box and the packaging really colourful and
make
crazy.
Make it an event.
Make it crazy so that they want to post about it, because they're not getting paid to post about it, but they've received the free product and they're really excited, so they will post about it then and hopefully tag you.
And the great thing with people like that as well is, they're already sold on your brand, they already love your brand, they're going to sell it so hard basically, but in their own way, in their own natural way that their followers are used to, as opposed to kind of an inorganic salesy way.
Like if you tell them what to say when you send it to them, it won't
disaster
work. Yeah. And then you've got your ads and sponsored posts. So we always see #ad, #sponsored. So this is where the brand has paid for the influencer to post about the product on their feed or on their stories, and they're getting paid for that promotion. So the brand might have agreed certain, not a script, but the right things
points
to say, to promote the product in the right way. And then you've got affiliate links. So affiliate links are really handy. You get discounts, like the followers get the discount, and then the brand will pay the influencer. It's not that much actually, because people sometimes stay away from affiliate links because they're like, oh no, they get all my money or whatever. It doesn't work that way. The brand pays the influencer, and it's only a very small amount, but it's really handy for brands then for tracking which influencers are bringing in the most,
performing the best, which is a nice way actually of bringing a tracking element to influencer marketing.
Yeah, exactly. And then you've got your brand ambassador. I think this is a great one because the influencer is invested in the brand. So they have like a 3 or 12-month contract or something like that, and they post about the products or the service or whatever it is constantly in their own way whenever they're kind of using it, or that kind of way. So they're invested in the brand and they work together.
It has to be someone who loves the product.
Yeah, exactly. Really. And you want them to be invested, and then they come up with their own ideas and like collaborations then where they bring all the creatives, because I think it's actually great for brands who don't have like a videographer or a creative team. they can just get an influencer and let them be the creative person, and drive all the ideas for them, shoot all the videos, and then just send them the content.
Yeah, I love
it's
that
brilliant
idea we were talking about the other day, like of basically essentially for a business, getting someone like that on board, making the influencer essentially your content creator.
Exactly.
I thought that was a great idea. I think that's definitely something more businesses should look into.
And I think it's just important to choose the right influencers who are good at video editing and good at creative ideas and all of that kind of stuff. They can't just be doing the smiley happy posts anymore. It has to be really creative and cool content that they can send the brand.
So with Easy Living, you do a lot of work with influencers, I've seen recently. So what would be your strategy when approaching influencers to work with you?
So before I go into the strategy, we're in a pretty unique position. So basically we have a direct competitor with a very similar name, but we are completely separate companies. So I can't really delve too much into our strategy, as I'm very aware that kind of like anything that we put out, there are eyes on us. But like, look, I have to take it as a compliment, because when you're the best at what you do, sure, everyone wants to be like you.
Absolutely,
But yeah, influencers, like, they're hugely important. We've really been trying to work with them a lot more, especially over the past year. They're for any business, it's definitely such a great way to market.
In terms of working with influencers, then, do you have specific tools or that you're using to track the results of the campaign, or specific metrics you're looking for? Because I suppose the great thing we'd say with the ad platform, say for example, Facebook ads, Google ads, all that, it is extraordinarily trackable and measurable. Whereas with an influencer campaign, even with e-commerce, it can be less measurable, because you may not expect as much in terms of direct sales. You're building your audience, you're building your brand with their audience. So what kind of metrics and what kind of tracking tools do you use to kind of measure the results of your campaigns?
Our main ones that we stick with, now this is not in order, but it would be followers, site visits, conversions, engagement. Now the importance depends completely on what campaign you're running. So say, for example, if it's a product collaboration, then conversions and site visits are going to be their number one. So yeah, it just kind of depends then, but they're the four main ones that we would look at.
Yeah, and do you find it's important to have a big following as a big brand in Ireland?
Yes, hugely. It's so important to have a big following, like for generating leads, increasing site traffic, or even just to understand your customer base more. You get to see what they engage with, what they like to see. So yeah, it's definitely very important. And you also want to be the market leader in your industry. So having the biggest following within your market is hugely important, because everyone's going to find you first and trust you more,
Yeah, absolutely. And what do you think will be like, what do they engage with most? Do you think it's lives, IGTVs, reels, photographs, photo shoots?
Yeah, lifestyle images are just a big one.
Yeah.
Before I actually started, this is how I can kind of see like the change and how it's improved. But before I started with Easy Living, so they were just working with supplier images. So we didn't have like our own photo studio or anything like that. So we now have built like an amazing photo studio, and we now take amazing lifestyle images, like credit to the creative team. It's amazing. But like seeing how much that has improved, and like the growth from just having our own images is like amazing. So lifestyle images are huge. So like that's like a small thing that we've changed like in the last few years, but it has like hugely improved. One thing actually, this or that, people love that game on Instagram.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Things. Yeah. So I find like kind of gamification type of content, like people love to engage with that,
Absolutely, yeah.
Very good. And in terms of the influencers you work with, then, are you, in terms of when you go looking for them, are you happy to work with kind of micro influencers? Are you working with a lot of micro influencers, or is it really focusing on some of the bigger ones?
No, we don't put all our focus into big ones. Like For me, I think this year is going to be huge for nano influencers. So you're talking anyone between 1,000 to 10,000 followers. Like they're small, but they're incredibly mighty. Like they're perfect businesses with the smaller marketing budget as well. But their audience trusts them a lot more. Like they're able to reply to DMs, questions a lot quicker than someone with a larger influence. So they can be very like beneficial to like a business, but they also have a way higher engagement rate than someone with say 100, 200,000 plus followers. So it could mean the difference of say someone with 3,000 followers having a 10% engagement rate versus someone with 100, 200,000 with only like 1.2% or something like that. So you know, they're very relevant and valuable to your brand because people it's such a shift at the moment to people with a smaller following. People just, I think their audience just trust them a lot more.
Definitely. And as you say, I think there is a big shift towards that. And it's interesting to see. And I think the smaller influencers as well, they will often, not to be painting a brush or whatever, but they'll put a lot more work into things sometimes as well.
Yeah, they do. They give it extra effort. Yeah.
That's just it, because they're like trying to swim in a very large pool. You know, so what is it? I think there's just over 500,000 influencers on Instagram, like varying amounts of following. So, you know, you're competing against a huge pool, but I can definitely see the trend shifting more towards the smaller following.
How would brands get started, you know, with like approaching a content creator on your platform?
So generally how it works is we get a brief in, so either from a brand directly or from their advertising agency or their PR agency. So if they have a campaign coming up, they would send us a brief and they kind of let us know like about the product, the campaign, who they want to target, the sort of people they're after, like everything that they can possibly let us know about the campaign. We ask to just tell us everything, so that we can go and build a proposal around it. And if creators feels like a natural fit, which it doesn't always, like we don't put creators forward for everything. Do you know what I mean? If it's not right, we don't put it forward. But if it is right, then it lands on my desk and myself and the sales rep would work together to figure out exactly what we want to pitch for them. So it could be working with several macro influencers and a couple of micro influencers, doing maybe video if their client really feels like video would be a good opportunity, or if we feel like video would be great for the campaign, we would say, well, maybe they should do like some sponsored IGTV videos, some stories, grid posts. Like it really depends on, every single brief is different. So we don't really have one size fits all that we send back to everyone. It's always kind of built around the brand and around the brief. So once we've done that, then I would kind of go out to my own little black book, which would be like the community that we have. So there's over 200 people, content creators officially signed up to Creators. So they're always my first port of call if I am putting a pitch together. So I would look at the community and say, okay, who fits this brief? And I would pull some certain people out of it depending on the different sort of skills that they have, the kind of content that they create, their following, their engagement rate. And then if I feel like we need more people, I'll do like a casting call on the likes of Instagram or Facebook, just saying, okay, we have this campaign. We're looking for bloggers who are interested in this topic. If you're authentically interested and this is something that you talk about regularly or you feel fits you, let us know. So then I would go and look at their profiles, look at their blogs, check out their engagement rates, like just make sure that it really fits. And then some of those people can be included. And then if we need more, we would go and look at the likes of the influencer agencies. So who's on their books and sort of see if we can include some of their guys. So we're very much open to sort of everybody that's available. We just want to make sure that we put the best people forward for any of the brand collaborations.
That's very cool. And how do you deal, we'll say, with where a brand might have certain expectations and want their content used maybe in a certain way, but that might not match an influencer's particular style. And obviously you want to let the influencer kind of, you know, do their thing because they know their audience. How do you balance that? Or has there been any kind of interesting incidents arise with stuff like that?
I think from the get-go, we always would say to them, like, please let the content creator do their thing, because you know yourself, if somebody, you can always tell if somebody has had words put in their mouth. And we want these campaigns to work as brilliantly as possible. So we're always going to push for the best kind of authentically created content. So just as much as we wouldn't put somebody forward that we don't think is relevant, we would also ask the brand to kind of respect what they do, what they're really naturally good at.
Cool.
And yeah, obviously we want to give the creators a nice brief and like give them some direction, but we would always say, just if we can let them do it as authentically as possible. Like authenticity is probably my most used word when it comes to this stuff, because it's just so important. But like, I've never had any major pushbacks from any of the brands. Like they kind of understand that, okay, these creators understand their own audience and they know what works. So unless they got something massively wrong, like a date or something, they generally wouldn't say, okay, we want that changed. They're happy enough to go with what the creators naturally produce for them.
Yeah, very good. And do you need, like, as a creator, do you have to have an Instagram page? Do you have to have a website to be one of your creators?
No, not at all. Like for us, we're open to anybody joining our community once they're creating quality content. So whether that's on YouTube or on their blog or on Instagram or Facebook, like we understand that not everybody's going to be able to do everything. I mean, we're all only human. And I know they do say like, oh, you should have a presence on every platform, but that's so hard. Like it takes so much time, like to build an audience on even one platform is so difficult. So we know it's not possible for everybody to have everything. And yeah, like I think, again, we understand that there's lots of people who are starting out. So if someone wants to join the community and they're just starting, that's fine. We'd never turn anybody away once they're creating something. We're not the authority on that. Like that's, but when it comes to publishing content, if a creator joins the community and doesn't have a blog, we couldn't publish them on the website because obviously they're not creating that kind of content. And then we do have kind of some like editorial guidelines around what we would actually publish, because there's so much content coming through to us. We can't publish everything. So we have to we want to like encourage people to create the best kind of content possible. So we would say, you're more likely to be published if you've got a really great headline, if your grammar is perfect all the way through your blog post, if you've got really strong imagery, if it's relevant, obviously if it's brand safe. So, yourselves, marketing generally has to be very brand safe. So yeah, we have got guidelines, but anybody can be part of the community if they're a content creator.
Brilliant. And so there's no like limitation. So you have like 200 people, but say loads of them now were like, say fashion orientated. Would you say, okay, we have enough fashion people now, we need to get more in this, or would you just keep taking the fashion people anyway?
No, like I like that. I think the more the merrier.
Yeah.
Because we're always getting briefs in as well. And we don't want to be always going back to the agencies or the brands with the same people over and over again.
Yeah.
So if we have more variety, it's good for us. It's good for the brands. It's good that, and everybody does stuff differently. So one fashion blogger could be amazing at creating video and another could be amazing at photography, and maybe the brand just wants video. So like, it's good to have as many people as possible. That's what the whole community is about as well, is that everyone's sort of learning off each other. Everyone's in it together. I know it's very, it sounds a bit hippy dippy, but it is.
No, it's brilliant.
Is there any particular industry or niche in the influencer side of things you see growing an awful lot actually?
I would say from a brand perspective, like the kind of industries that want to work with content creators, parenting blogs are really of interest to brands. Food, obviously, foodie bloggers are of a lot of interest. For us, actually, we don't find that many brands looking for fashion bloggers, which is a shame because they often do create like the most creative content. But I guess we kind of focus on what the Indo is really strong at as well. So we have really strong magazines that are focused on food and the likes of the family, home and garden, all that sort of stuff. So those sort of sectors are very interested in those kind of bloggers because they align quite naturally with them and it fits in with the overall I&M family. So if that makes sense.
No, it does. It's interesting because you do see these trends evolve over time. Like we've seen the last few years, like travel has obviously been a massive growth area in terms of the influencer space. Obviously, COVID,
not this year.
But it is very interesting to see kind of the trends in the influencer space, where you know, all of a sudden there's so many influencers in one particular sector, and then in a couple of years change, and another sector seems to be dominating it. I think that changes with the whatever's popular at the time as well. So like you see
exactly,
and TikTok as well then changes it completely again, because all of a sudden there's a whole new brand or a whole new audience of influencers out there.
So absolutely.
It's a very interesting space that's constantly evolving.
I know, but that's what makes it kind of fun, I think.
Exactly,
That it's
always. Do you have any TikTok creators in your creators pool?
I mean, I feel like they all have a TikTok. We don't have anyone that's like a standout, anyone official. We do work with people who are not necessarily signed up to the platform officially. So if a brand came to us and said, we really want to reach that audience that's on TikTok, we would definitely have access to them. They just might not necessarily be on our site yet.
Yeah. Okay. And so what's the difference between, you know, being able to contact them and being officially on your site? Is there certain rules for the people on your site that they can't work with other people, or how does that work?
No, not at all. No, actually, that's something that we should probably say more loudly and more often. No, signing up to creators doesn't stop you from working with any other publisher. Doesn't stop you from signing with an agency or working with any brands. It just means that basically they're top of mind when it comes to us pitching to brands. And it means that we can link their blogs to our website, so that when they publish, anytime one of our bloggers publishes on their own blog, we get it through to our back, sort of the back end of our site, and we can then push it onto the homepage of our site. So it kind of, and again, it just comes through as like a thumbnail. So we drive the traffic then back to their blog. It's not that we're taking the eyes off their website. It's just literally a traffic driver. So obviously for us, it's great having such a big community, because it means that we've all these amazing content creators that we can put in front of brands, and it really helps our sales team. So obviously then we want to give back to the creators, and our way of doing that is by publishing their content. Obviously, because it's associated with such a great brand like the likes of I&M, I do think that has some weight, and like some of the guys even have the creators logo on their website and all that. So we try and give them as much value as they're giving us. And the same with like social and shout outs and things like that. We're just trying as much as possible to give as much as we take from the community.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
And I suppose I suppose a lot of what we do in terms of the measurement then of the results of a campaign. You see a lot of people, the way they do it is they give the influencer a coupon code. If they use that coupon code, you know exactly where your sales come from. You can also use Google Analytics tracking links. So if in their, like, let's say it's a YouTube video, in their description they're putting the link in, so you can track all the traffic coming from that specific influencer. But like you said, it's very different to say a Google Ads campaign where, you know, you're measuring ROI a specific way. This is more about building the brand, building that trust. Obviously, you need to see that traffic flowing. You do need to see sales flowing, but your expectations, I think, should be very different.
Yeah, and like going back to the tracking of them, I mean, give them a custom link. Use Bitly, use Rebrandly, use a service like that where you can give them a link that only them has, and you can kind of have a little bit of extra kind of track. Well, you can, because on your Google Analytics, say for example it's an Instagram account and they're saying, oh, click the link in bio. Like on your Google Analytics, it's not going to say Instagram from your influencer, blah, blah, blah. It's just going to say Instagram. And with Google Analytics, it might just say direct, like, you know. So you need to, if you give them a custom link, at least you can say, well, this is actually how many people came through from there. And then you can set up kind of custom tracking from that point through, that if the referrer was this, and kind of bring it through that way. But there's no other really strong way of track. Sometimes it can get a little bit messy with tracking. Sometimes if you're just leaving it to the influencer to give you your numbers, as much as you trust them, it could be a risk. And I suppose on that kind of side of things as well, the influencer knows their audience, Yeah.
Where you're coming in as an advertiser trying to adjust their content for your brand, that's probably the worst thing you can do, because then it's going to come across as fake.
Yeah.
So if you are working with an influencer, you really do have to trust them with your brand, because they know their audience.
Yeah.
And they know what's going to work for that audience. So if if your brand, you have a set way of doing things, and okay, this person has an audience that we want to target.
Yeah.
Let that influencer work with you on the creatives and whatever you need to get done for it. As I say, that's their audience.
Yeah, 100% have to give them some level of creative freedom.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to stick out like a sore thumb on their newsfeed.
And it's going to look like a regular ad then.
Yeah, and then you're not getting anything really. And like it is difficult to relinquish control of your brand a small, but especially when you're like, if you're using influencer marketing, the assumption is that you've really thought a little bit about brand awareness. So it is important to go, right, this person fits, their audience fits, this is the perfect fit. I need to relinquish a little bit of creative control to them to bring the brand really to life in their feed. Otherwise, you're probably wasting a little bit of the money anyway.
Yeah, you're just turning it into a regular ad instead of actually something that the audience wants to see and wants to hear.
And the other thing as well is that, like, that their audience, if their audience is engaging with their content regularly, and then you have making them put out this ad and it sticks out like a sore thumb in their newsfeed, they'll probably not recognize it as that particular influencer or a person that they love to follow. They'll just scroll past it and not even cop that it's them. Yeah. So that's really important as well.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You I suppose we all go out and look for that person. 100,000 followers, but no, if you've got someone who has 1,000 followers, but they're hugely active and engaging with that person, that's 1,000 people who are going to hang on that whatever that person says, basically.
Yeah, definitely.
So when you are doing, if you're researching influencers, start looking for those smaller ones. And what I see a lot of people doing, particularly on the YouTube side of things, is if they've got like 5-6 influencers lined up, that they all at the same time go with the promotion. So you're getting that kind of more mass effect, rather than, okay, they did this on Tuesday and they did the following week. But it's to organize it so that everybody goes at the same time. So you just get that massive bump in brand awareness.
Yeah, definitely. Especially on Instagram as well. I mean, I would argue that you're probably going to do better with 10 micro influencers going out at the same time than you are with like one huge one, unless it's the Kardashians, in which case you've paid $1 million for one post. I think that's what,
It's nice if you can get it.
Yeah.
So Jennifer, if there's some marketing managers out there or some people managing, Instagram, Facebook for maybe small, medium-sized businesses, and not necessarily in your industry, but any kind of advice for them in general, a few tips that you think would really help them in their work?
Ooh, okay.
Not putting you on the spot now.
I told you, Mark goes off topic.
Yeah. Okay. What advice do I give? It's all going to be fine. No. I suppose
that's important. Make mistakes. That happens.
Yeah,
that's important.
Yeah, that's just it. I think the one thing for 2021 is humanize your brand and your business. And people want to be able to relate to you. So put a face to the brand, the business, and get your social exec come on speaking like front camera. It's just a lot more of building that trust, building a community with your customers, so they just develop a relationship with you. It's kind of like we're friends, that kind of way. So I think, humanize the brand. It's gone away from we obviously keep like nice graphics and stuff like that, but it's gone away from just those like infographic type of content.
Build a relationship, like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do you think that's kind of hard to manage as your brand gets bigger and bigger? Is it kind of hard to be very personable to everyone?
It is, I suppose, a little bit. But at the moment, like, we're getting in place like a really good social strategy at the moment. So you'll be seeing a lot more of me and my social team.
Very good.
And so I've forgotten your question.
No, you're good. Is it hard to be more personable when you're a bigger brand, but as you were saying, you're going to be coming on more on your
involved.
putting all of your faces in front.
That's just it. I think it's just about our audience now kind of building a relationship with us, and not just seeing us as, because you can sometimes when you see a business, you can seem like really cold. You're like, there's no face to that, like, you know what I mean? So I think people just want a bit more friendly interaction.
And do you find it? No, sorry, Pamela, go ahead.
Is it hard to decide who are the faces of the brand, like, because you have obviously your CEOs and things, but then you have your marketing managers. Is it kind of, how do you have that discussion, who's going to go in front of camera?
We kind of just work it off, just marketing and like social and stuff. So Claire is our new social media guru. So you'll see her, you might have seen her pop up last week. She did like our outlet store walkthrough. So it's usually between me and her, but we have some other plans. I can't really go into
it. To be continued. Watch their social.
So Rachel, if somebody's listening and they're kind of playing around with the content creation space themselves, no matter what niche or industry it's in, what kind of advice would you have for them?
I would just say starting out to focus on creating the best kind of content that you can and really working on your skills. So whether that's photography or videography or writing, just to really put as much time and energy into that, as opposed to getting super caught up in the numbers and the followers. I think a lot of people starting out are like, okay, I really want to get to 10,000 followers on Instagram in the first year. And then when that doesn't happen for like 90% of the people, they lose their momentum and they sort of give up. And like, I think you want to not focus so much on that. It's not good for your mental health. It's not good for, keeping your content fresh if all you're thinking about is what can I do to get more numbers. It's not about the numbers starting out. If you're doing it for that reason, it's probably not the right reason to get into it. I think just focus on what you're really passionate about. Keep creating, keep building your community, like always reply to the people who get in touch with you. And just build something that's really personal to you, because that's what people kind of buy into and believe in at the end of the day, is if you're being really true to yourself and you're kind of, if your passion, I think, shines through, that's sort of the most important thing over the numbers.
I think passion is actually the key, because that's what will keep you going through. If you're not getting followers, if people aren't engaging with your content, but you actually love what you're doing and you love what you're creating, then it doesn't matter. Eventually, hopefully someday that will come as well. But if you actually love what you're creating, you love what you're doing, then you're already winning.
Yeah, exactly. And then sure, if the other stuff comes, it's just like a bonus,
Bonus, so true.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of the Digital Marketing Scoop. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed yet, please jump into your Apple Podcasts, your Google Podcasts, Spotify, whatever your favorite podcast platform is, and just make sure to follow and subscribe. Also, if you'd like to leave a review if you enjoyed the episode, I'd absolutely love for you to do that. We put out an episode every single week, all with digital marketing tips, case studies, ways to build your business with digital marketing. Also, if you are interested in bringing your own business online or looking at scaling your business, we'd love to chat with you here at CLIQ. You can visit us online at CLIQ.ie.